know a lot of you are curious what the plan is for the shifters. Okay, so this one is now removed. Here's our drop bar we're going to be putting on. Drop down and then it curves up. So this will be a fairly nice, comfortable hand position up on the ramps. The thing I'm messing around with today is with the brakes. I have two different sets of cantilever brakes. How were we going to adapt the shifters to the drop bars? If you haven't noticed, is that you won't be able to fit a handlebar bag on the front with these brake levers. So as cool as it is in this setup, I really need this bike to be able to do bike touring. So we're gonna have to take those off. A lot of people have been trying to talk me out of the 3x for some reason. In the comments, I keep seeing stuff about turning it into a 2x. But here's why I wanted a 3x, just one example. So I'm on this road and I'm heading to another dirt section, and I've been doing some highway miles. I've got some more highway miles coming up, but here's why, so check it out. A 2x is very limiting. You can have like a very large chainring and a very small chainring to get the gear range, but you have nothing in between. And since you already have a derailleur on the front, if you're gonna have a 2x, then you might as well have a 3x. Having that middle ring gives you a lot more usable gear range. A 2x with a wide range cassette it gives you a lot of gear range on both ends, but nothing in the middle. And that's why the triple is so cool, is that it gives you that middle ring. So for one thing, it helps kind of create the step down from the big ring to the small ring, and you can have a very small ring and a nice or big ring, so like a 46, 26, compact is nice, but then you have nothing in the middle, and then there's also more chance of it actually, you know, dropping that chain when you're going from the big ring to the small ring. And like I said, if you have a front derailleur, you know, you might as well have another chain ring there to make it that much more usable.
This is a Tang bottom bracket. It's a 68 millimeter wide, 122. It's actually 122.5, which is what Shimano specified for the 8-speed triple front crankset that I have. So this should work. This should solve the problem, but we'll see. The reason I picked up this one is it's got a hollow spindle. So it's a chromoly spindle, but it's hollow, so it's lightweight and stiff. I would suggest, if anyone wanted to save a few grams before going to a titanium bottom bracket, maybe give one of these a try.
So according to what you'll read or hear about on the internet, a lot of people will say you want to get this yoke down real low here for these touring style cantilevers. And I would say, from my experience, that as long as you're within reason here, you know, if it's up here, it's probably going to be not so great. But if you get it anywhere in here, you'll be fine. And what I did is I set it just so that it's above, or like when it's rested down before you pull the lever, that it's flush with the fork crown. That was kind of my thinking. And you can see there's a screw under here for the fender, so that's even lower. That's kind of was my thinking on it. Just get it low enough, but not too low. You want tire clearance, mud clearance, you know, that kind of thing. With the other cantilever brakes, you do want the yoke up a little higher, because the deer head style, the bar comes out this way, but it really honestly isn't that much lower here, so the angle is it's not that bad actually. But you know, if you read online, sometimes you get the impression that some things are just really better. It's not that much better. The key to getting good braking power, if you ask me, in my opinion, is you start from the lever. What kind of leverage does your lever have? This happens to be a very high leverage lever. Then you need good housing, so compressionless housing. And then the cable hanger. You don't want one that's flexible. Here you want a nice stiff one. This is a very thick piece of aluminum. It's very stiff. You don't want anything that's too flexy. And I don't use a barrel adjuster. Get rid of the barrel adjuster. You want just the end of the housing into a metal housing stop here. And then the cable needs to be straight, obviously, straight. And then when you come down to the brakes, then it's brake pads and where the brake arm is when it contacts the rim. All these things have kind of mechanical advantage to them. So when the arm is perfectly vertical when it contacts the rim, or just slightly off vertical, that's going to give you the most leverage. And then the thicker the pads are, the more compressible they are, so they will feel more, you'll get more modulation or less modulation depending on how thick the rubber is. So like the mountain bike pads that are low profile, they have very little thickness, so they feel, as soon as they touch, there's nothing to squish, so they don't feel very, like, they don't feel like they modulate as well. They just are kind of more on off, whereas these are thick, almost maybe a little too thick, and they give you a lot more modulation or feel. They stop just as fine as you saw before when I was out doing the endos.